how childhood trauma leads to addiction or even mental health. You know, when you study prevention, or when we study prevention, we think about high-risk youth. And, you know, I know the disease model of addiction is the model that we use today. More and more, the focus is on what it truly is, and that is behavioral, generational, family of origin dysfunction. It looks like a disease, it looks like it's genetic, and it is dysfunction that is passed on generationally in beliefs. What I do know, and I learned this from Dr. Gabor Maté in my studies and in my career and in my experience, that when a child is growing up in a home where one parent, sometimes two, is using substances, the effect on that child's brain development is profound. I have so many videos on this topic, and anybody that has spoken with me on the phone knows I go there when there's children. The longer you allow your loved one to be around or even using when they're not there, when you have small children, is just chipping away at your loved one's psychological state of mind. It will change the way they love people. It'll change the way they want to be treated. It'll change who they love, what relationships they seek out. They will become high-risk youth for mental disorder, substance use, and sometimes even committing criminal offenses. There are some children who are unaffected by it. Majority of them are. This whole, oh, they're too young, they'll never remember, is nonsense. Brain development starts in the mother's womb. And the longer that child goes with that lack of a family member or a father figure or a mother figure, the more stress that they have feeling that presence and that negative energy from your loved one, the more of an effect it has on the way that their brain develops. When you think about and talk to an addict or an alcoholic, like, people will take a drink for the first time and that's it. An addict or an alcoholic, when they find their drug of choice, they have something what's called a magical connection. It's almost like somebody put a key in and unlocked something for the first time. It's like, I have finally found what I'm looking for. We know today that is a lack of brain development starting as early as childbirth. Because when there is a lack of affirmation, when there is a lack of love and attention, when there is stress, when there's arguing, when there's abuse, whether physical or emotional, it affects that child. And as their brain develops, or I should say lack of brain development, later in life they will seek out that pleasure to fill that void. That's why a spiritual component, that's why a behavioral change is so profound in addiction recovery, because it's the only thing that we have found as professionals that actually fills that hole. You can't go back and fill that in. You can't go back and fix that. It's there. And when your child is growing up in that household, you're allowing that. And later in life, when your children are in therapy, and they will be, they're actually going to be more resentful at the parent who didn't do something about the problem than the one who caused the problems. You're their protector. That is your job. There is a reason why we have Department of Children and Family Services. They know, we know what happens to children in homes with addiction, mental health, or any type of abuse. So when you're contemplating doing an intervention, I get all the reasons you don't want to intervene and the dysfunctional family roles and we're not going to do this and the fear of the outcome and the anxiety, the illusion of control, as I stated. That's all fine and dandy. But your children are being affected. And I can't think of any other time in a life where a mother or a father would allow their children to be put in harm's way. I mean, when you think about your loved one that is using substances, would you want your child to have that as a babysitter, as a school teacher, as any other role model? No! So why are you allowing it now? Because he's the father? Because you're the mother? I get it. But if you're not going to do this for them, stop with the excuses and do it for the kids. Because if you don't, and this isn't a scare tactic. You're going to be calling me in 20 years about your child. So there's a profound impact on brain development in children when there's addiction and mental health disorders in the family. And you can address it, and you should.